Welcome back to AgriTalk. We're in Lancaster, Pennsylvania for the National Farm City Council Symposium, Agriculture, A Growing Story. We do have a number of FFA members with us in the audience. I want you to hear from, are you here? I'm going to wake them up. All right. I was kidding them. They're still a little sleep deprived from the recent National FFA Convention. I'm urging them not to try to catch up during this next hour. So we're glad to have them with us here. They're very much involved in the social media that we're talking about on our program today, and we'll get into in just a moment. First, I want to bring in Charlene Shoup Espenshade. As I mentioned, Charlene is the special sections editor for Lancaster Farming. This is a newspaper widely circulated in the eastern United States. She's not only a journalist, but a dairy producer as well. Charlene, thank you for being with us. Tell us about wearing both of those hats.
It can be a very interesting place. I can tell you that as a journalist, I spend a lot of time at a lot of events, and I can tell you a lot of the journalists that are not from farm media, as soon as they find out I am the farmer, it's like, okay, what's going on here? Especially even at some of the fairs. We go to our state farm show, which is our state fair, and they're looking around trying to figure out what's even happening in the building, and we're just talking something simple as a ag exposition. As the farmer, it gets very interesting because it gets frustrating because there are many times that I feel farmers are not actively engaging in the discussion. There have been times we have seen letters to the editor, editorials that have gone in our paper, stories that I figure when we put it in as a staff, we're thinking, man, we're going to get a real response out of this, and it's crickets. And you're sitting there going, okay, are they engaging? Did they read it? And I think one of the challenges is I tell a lot of people, an extension agent said, there are more people that work at Walmart than are actively engaged in farming, that call farming their full-time occupation. And I always say, we have to start getting engaged. If you want people to understand your farm, you have to start talking about it. So that's very important.
What do you find from your urban media colleagues? Are they predisposed a certain way towards agriculture, or are they pretty open-minded?
I think they're pretty open-minded. They're just very overwhelmed. I mean, let's just look at it. We talked before we went on the air about the gatekeeper role. There is no gatekeeper anymore in communications. You search the internet, and you can find anything and everything for and against a position on agriculture. And we also, in our urban media, you don't have a lot of people that are dedicated to an agriculture beat anymore. Agriculture is something that's slid in with either another duty or something like that. So they don't get the chance to really understand. And I will say a curse of agriculture is we talk in alphabet soup way too much. We have our FFA members here. I'll say they are probably the kings and queens of alphabet soup talk. And when they start talking, they're different things. And they have to figure it out, and you're starting off, that makes it much harder.
Is it hard to wear both hats? I mean, when you see other reporting, say on the dairy industry, and you're a dairy producer, and you know what's being reported is not accurate, how do you feel then?
Oh, I get frustrated. The one thing I do know, I know there was a story in the New York Times that talked about DMI, and it was a USDA program. And as soon as I'm looking at going, wait a minute, that's not a USDA farmer program. That's a checkoff program. I pay for that program. That's not taxpayer dollars. And, but if you look at the USDA budget like a traditional reporter is going to look at it, it's very easy for them to make some of those mistakes because it's going to be reported in the USDA budget that there is this checkoff, and they're thinking that's taxpayer dollars, not realizing. And what I do as the farmer reporter, as we'll say, I do spend some time in trying to educate farmers how to interact with media, but also when I do get a chance, I always stress to especially some of my colleagues in our non-farm papers, hey, give me a holler. I will help you find the right people to talk to. And some of them do take me up on that.
Do your editors give you plenty of leeway? Do they encourage you to give the farmer's side of things?
I will say that working for a farm publication, I've often penned editorials talking about life on the farm, talking about what it is really like to live through the farm price crisis. Those discussions that are happening at farm tables happen at my table, when the check isn't going quite far enough, and, giving that side of what it's like. But also, I feel it's important because I can see both sides of the coin, and also I use that role to educate farmers of how to work with media because I think it's important.
Real quick, how do you feel about all these stories about animal abuse and animal rights and things like that?
I get frustrated, but if it's a legitimate problem, if it happened, it's a problem, and we need to fix it, and agriculture needs to step up to the plate and say, hey, this is wrong. But if it's a misinformed situation, they also need to stand up and use it as a teaching point to teach what do we do in agriculture to raise our animals in a humane manner, and what we do and why we care the way we do about agriculture.
That is Charlene Shoup-Espenshade, Special Editor for Lancaster Farming. I want to just also quickly mention, I talked earlier about National Farm City Week and the history going back to 1955. We understand that the President will make the proclamation this Saturday for National Farm City Week, making it official again this year. All right, we're in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We'll take a break. When we come back, Chuck Zimmerman will join us, and he will talk a little bit about the many forms of social media now available to those in agriculture to get their message out. That's next on AgriTalk.